Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Jaya Giri Varadari Jaya Giri Varadari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Jaya Giri Varadari Maradari Gopi Janavalabha Jaya Giri Varadari Jaya Giri Varadari Gopi Janavalabha Jaya Giri Varadari Jaya Giri Varadari Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Jaya Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Hari Jaya Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Pancha Tattva, Jaya Pancha Tattva, Jaya Pancha Tattva, Jaya Pancha Tattva, Pancha Tattva, Pancha Tattva, Jaya Pancha Tattva, Jaya Goranitai, Jaya Goranitai, Jaya Goranita, Jaya Goranitai, Ranita, Goranita, Goranita, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Pada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Panchatattva ki jai, Shishi Gornitai ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 24, Matsya, the Lord's Fish Incarnation. We start with text 4, we'll read just the translation, and then text 5. Sutta Goswami said, when Parikshit Maharaj thus inquired from Shukadev Goswami, the most powerful saintly person began describing the pastimes of the Lord's incarnation as a fish. Text 5. Shishuka uvacha Goviprasura sadunam Chandasam apicheshvaraha Rakshamicham stanurdate Dharmasyartasya chaivahi Shishuka uvacha Goviprasura sadunam Chandasamapi cheshvaraha Rakshamicham stanurdate Dharmasyartasya chaivahi Shishuka uvacha Goviprasuda sadhuna Andasama picheshvaraha Namasyatnasya chaivahi Shishuka uvacha Goviprasura sadhuna Chandasama picheshvaraha Rakshami cham stanurdate Dharmasyartasya chaivahi Shishuka vacha Goviprasura sadhuna Chandasama picheshvara Rakshami cham stanurdate Dharmasyartasya chaivahi Shishuka uvacha Shishukadev Goswami said, Go of the cows, Vipra of the Brahmanas, Sura of the demigods, Sadhunam and of the devotees, Chandasam api, even of the Vedic literature, Cha and Ishvaraha, the Supreme Controller, Raksham, the protection, Ichchan, desiring, Tanudatte, accepts the form of incarnations, Dharmasya, of the principles of religion, Artasya, of the principles of the purpose of life, Cha and Eva, indeed, he certainly. Translation on purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. Shishukadev Goswami said, O king, for the sake of protecting the cows, brahmanas, demigods, devotees, the Vedic literature, religious principles, and principles to fulfill the purpose of life, the Supreme Personality of Godhead accepts the forms of incarnations. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead generally appears in various types of incarnations to give protection to the cows and the brahmanas. The Lord is described as Go Brahmanya Hitaya Cha. In other words, He is always eager to benefit the cows and brahmanas. When Lord Krishna appeared, He purposefully became a cowherd boy and showed personally how to give protection to the cows and calves. Similarly, he showed respect to Sudama Vipra, a real Brahmana. From the Lord's personal activities, human society should learn how to give protection specifically to the Brahmanas and cows. Then the protection of religious principles, fulfillment of the aim of life, and protection of Vedic knowledge can be achieved. Without protection of cows, Brahminical culture cannot be maintained. And without Brahminical culture, the aim of life cannot be fulfilled. The Lord, therefore, is described as Go Brahmanya Hitaya, because His incarnation is only for the protection of the cows and the Brahmanas. Unfortunately, because in Kali Yuga there is no protection of the cows and Brahminical culture, everything is in a precarious position. If human society wants to be exalted, the leaders of society must follow the instructions of Bhagavad Gita and give protection to the cows, the brahmanas, and brahminical culture. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shimate Swamiti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shimate Bhakti-vedanta Swamiti Namine. Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishashashnevadi Pashatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Hare-rama Rama Rama Hare Hare. So here we have some indications about how to judge the modern culture. And there's a few jokes about the modern culture. There's one it's about Mahatma Gandhi. He was once asked about what he thinks about the British culture. And what did he say? He said it would be a good idea. And then there's the other joke which I heard from one devotee, that what is the similarity, the difference between yogurt and modern culture. And the answer is that in yogurt, at least in yogurt, there is some culture. So that's some jokes, but like every good joke has some reality in it. So you can see that the signs of demoniac culture is killing the cows and destroying Brahminical culture. So we have this, it's not something new. We have from times immemorial the demons doing this. There's this part from Bhagavatam where Hiranyakashipu also is thinking what to do, and he gives an order to his associates, and he says, immediately go wherever there is good protection for the cows and brahmanas, and wherever the Vedas are studied in terms of the Varnashrama principles. Set fire to those places and cut from the roots the trees there which are the source of life. And of course the demons, the followers of Hiranyakashipu did that. They went everywhere, and they were destroying everything related to Brahminical culture and cow protection. And later, when the demigods appealed to the Lord for protection, for a solution, Krishna himself, I think in the form of Vishnu, says that when one is envious of the demigods who represent the Supreme Personality of Godhead, of the Vedas, which give all knowledge, of the cows, Brahmanas, Vaishnavas, and religious principles, and ultimately of me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he and his civilization will be vanquished without delay. So a society which is doesn't show proper respect to cows and brahmanas is going in the wrong direction. And we have a few. Of course, we have this example of Hiranyakashipu. We know that what happened to him, and there's a few examples of people who didn't have proper attitude towards brahmanas. I mean, towards qualified brahmanas. And of course, Vaishnava is a brahmana, real Vaishnava. So we have Ramachandra Khan as an example. Ramachandra Khan, he's known for trying to defame Haridas Thakur. We all know the story of he was envious on Haridas Thakur, and he said, "Okay, I will send him a prostitute and show him what kind of a sadhu he is." He's not. We know he's not a real sadhu. So of course we know that Haridas Thakur was chanting Hare Krishna the whole day, so he didn't have time for the prostitute. We know the nice method he was using later. No worries. later, which we can also use in our life. And later, the same Ramachandra Khan, he had the opportunity to meet Lord Nityananda. And when Lord Nityananda came in his village, and like sadhus, when they are traveling, they sometimes need some accommodation. So they came to Ramachandra Khan's house, and it's explained there that usually the house of wealthy people, they had an inner part which was for the family member, and they had a Durga temple where other people would come, and usually they would accommodate people there. And so Lord Nityananda came to this outer Durga temple, and Ramachandra Khan was not so happy to see him. So what he did, he sent one of his servants to tell Lord Nityananda that, this Durga temple is not really appropriate for you. It's too small. So better you go to some milkman cowshed. This is more appropriate for you. which was his way of saying, go away. You're not welcome here. So Lord Nityananda was a bit upset, but he just left, and he didn't even sleep in that village. And Ramachandra Khan was so envious that he even ordered his servants to dig the earth where the Lord Nityananda was staying. Because it was impure. Lord Nityananda was destroying the purity of his temple. So he did that. And of course he was, and then he purified the whole place with water, with cow dung. like we do whenever something is we don't follow something, we just put some water with cow dung, and now it's pure again. So that was what he did, because Lord Nityananda destroyed the purity of his temple. That was his idea. And then he was a bit pacified. But what was the result of this? That this Ramachandra Khan was collecting taxes on behalf of the government, something like this, and he was not paying his taxes, properly. So within a few days of this event, the minister, his authority, because every authority has some authority, came, and they realized what he was doing. And it's not good to cheat the state. And so he got arrested. They were destroyed practically, the Durga temple, and they were even cooking and eating cow meat there. And then there was a problem. The whole city. So the Muslim minister just took everything from him. Just because he, and some you would say they are not connected. Okay, but you offend Haridas Thakur, and then okay, maybe, and then you offend Lord Nityananda, and within few days you just lose everything. It's finished, And there's another example which is Gopal Chakravarti. So this there was some discussions, and Haridas Thakur was there. And Haridas Thakur made a statement there. They were discussing about the holy name, and Haridas Thakur said that liberation and extinctions of the resurrections of sinful life are two concomitant byproducts of chanting the holy name of the Lord. An example is, so he basically said that if you chant the holy name, liberation is, you achieve really, really fast. And this Gopal Chakravarti was really annoyed by this. And his idea was that, oh my God, and he was even calling Haridas Thakur like, just hear the conclusion of the emotional devotee. And he was explaining that how can this happen? How is this idea that usually people work so hard, the Gyanis work so hard to get liberation, and you're coming and you tell me that you chant a bit of Hare Krishna and you obtain liberation. So there was a debate, and Haridas Thakur was giving shastric knowledge. He was saying, "Oh, this is the conclusion of the shastras. What to do?" Like. And this Gopal Chakravarti said, "Okay, but if he says if one is not liberated by namabhasa, which is not even pure chanting, then you may be certain that I shall cut off your nose." He said, okay, if someone chants Hare Krishna in namabhasa and he's not liberated, then I will cut your nose. So yeah. So what happened? Within a few days, this Brahmana was attacked by leprosy, and most interesting is that the leprosy attacked his nose. Yeah, he had a nice nose, and he was always talking like this. So there was his nose just melted away. So that's a few examples of what happens to someone and in a society which is not showing proper respect to Brahmanas, to Brahminical culture. And I probably told you before, but there's we can say also like a bit like in the mood of Gopal Chakravarti. Yeah, this is Shastra, but it's not really practical. It doesn't really apply, But I have one case in my own life, Like I was preaching in one city in Romania, and we had a program, and somehow the door closed, and there was we had an outer door, and we were sharing the same yard with someone, and there was a person who came for the program, and he went out a bit early, and then the outer door was closed, and he just jumped over the fence, And the neighbor was really annoyed, and he was like, like really making a show out of this. And then what happened? It's not a good idea to mess with Lord Chaitanya's movement. And after a few days, I'm going like early in the morning. I'm going out of the house. It was the house we were living in, and I see there was this dog house, and someone was there, like sleeping. I was like, what's going on? Oh, no, that was a bit after. The day after, there was these guys from electricity, and they were coming to make some control, and then they realized that he was stealing electricity. He didn't have legal connection, but somehow he connected to, and he was stealing electricity. So they came, and he was in big trouble. And then after a few days, he was sleeping there in the dog cage, and then after I found out after a few days, I found out why. Like the police knocked on the door and said, "Have you seen your neighbor around here?" And they're like, no, not really. I don't know. I said, oh, we have we have to arrest him for dealing drugs. So that was. I mean, it was connected. It was obviously connected because it was next day, and within a few days, everything happened to him. You know, like. So yeah, that's it's never a good idea to mess with Lord Chaitanya's movement. Some things can happen to you. So we should. It's always a good idea to treat mentors, senior devotees properly, because that's where the Shakti comes from. That's where the spiritual power comes from. Sometimes we think, I'm coming with, I'm so empowered. No, if we act as a servant of someone who is empowered, then we get. But if as soon as we think, I don't need these superiors, we don't need Prabhupada, I don't need my guru because I'm empowered, and the spiritual power is instantly going, no more. And speaking of real life examples of how these Shastric references really apply, you know, like. We had in Ramnavami tour. We went to Kran, and in Kran, Bhaktavatsala Prabhu asked that we dedicate this the Harinam to his grandmother, and so we did. And what we found out is that after the Harinam, he went home, and his grandmother just left the body same day. You know, like that's the power of association with devotees. You know, probably she was a bit pious, but she was not a devotee. She was just favorable towards a devotee. That was her natural position. So you would think, this is really auspicious. If you think, you know, from a spiritual perspective, it's really auspicious. You go for Harinam and you just leave your body after Harinam. So something good should happen, no? And we had a case in Romania. There was one Mataji. She was like 60 years old. She was not so young. She had a son, and she was practicing something, but you know, like she didn't live in. She lived like 50 kilometers from the temple. She came sometimes. Sometimes she was giving some donations, like. Mostly she had a garden and she was cultivating vegetables, so she was always donating something. She was practicing something, you know. I mean, but she was not, you know, the hardcore devotee. You know, exactly. And then her son died in a car accident or motorcycle accident, in some accident on the road, and. So she was really devastated, you know, like, of course she was. And then within a few days she had a dream. And then she called someone from the temple and said, what's this Jagannath? Jagannath. Yes, Jagannath. So I mean, she was a devotee, but she didn't know anything about Jagannath. And then she explained to this devotee that she was dreaming, and her son came in her dream, and she said, "Mother, don't worry, I'm here with Jagannath." So probably it was a true story, true case that her son actually got born in Jagannath Puri. So this is really the benefit. And of course, her son. I mean, she was a devotee. Her son was not a devotee. I mean, he was favorable. He had a good relationship with his mother, but he never came to the temple or something like this. He was just favorable. But this was the effect, really practical. That he was just favorable towards a devotee. So yeah, that's the other side, like what's the effect of having a bit of appreciation for Brahminical culture. So yeah, this we find from this purpose that the current civilization is going not in the right direction, and the solution. Sometimes people realize that things are not going in the right direction, but they don't really have solution. They offer many things. Sometimes they will say, "Oh, we'll change the government." Okay, one government with another government. Sometimes they will have other ideas, but Krishna is giving us the solution. So, and his solution is very simple. We have to enforce cow protection and Brahminical culture. That's it. So of course the question is, who is going to do it? And of course the answer is that not the demoniac society is not going to do it. So this is according to Srila Prabhupada, this is our mission. We should do it. The Hare Krishna movement should do this. And this is the general idea that we have two main occupations. Like one is this farming and simple living, and the other is high thinking, which means spreading the Brahminical culture. So we should work in this direction. Okay. So of course, His Holiness Prahladananda Swami, he's speaking a lot about the importance of having farms, and the reason is mainly that we are really criticizing this demoniac civilization. And it's not really good that we depend on the demoniac civilization that we are criticizing. That's no, I mean it's not good. We are criticizing and then we take from them what. Of course, but I will not go into this direction. And the other direction is, of course, spreading the Brahminical culture. Spreading Brahminical culture means spreading Brahminical culture inside the Hare Krishna movement and also outside. So we should not forget to spread the Brahminical culture also inside. I don't want to speak too much. So I'll skip this. So one of the main occupations of Brahmanas is study of scriptures, and there's of course the other part that Brahmanas should study scriptures and should teach others the scriptures. So there's this Srila Prabhupada used to say that books are the basis, preaching is the essence, purity is the force, utility is the principle. He had this slogan. And books are the basis. So this means that everything in our movement is based on the books. So Srila Prabhupada was saying that we should know the books like a lawyer knows the law codes. So we should really know very well what's in the books. This is from because how can we follow if we don't know what is there? You know, we are supposed to act according to Srila Prabhupada's instructions, but how can we follow Srila Prabhupada's instructions if we don't know them? So main source of Srila Prabhupada's instructions is in his books. So we have to know really well what's in the books. It's like sometimes we meet these Christians, and they are very inclined to they love Jesus Christ, and they are really Christians. But if you ask them what's Jesus Christ's instructions and are you following them, they are like a bit well, because they don't know many cases they don't know what Jesus Christ wanted from them and what to say of following. So books are the basis, and we should really know what's in the books. And then the second part is preaching is the essence. So this is a preaching movement. So the purpose of this temple is to spread Krishna consciousness in Ljubljana, to give Krishna consciousness to people, because otherwise we would probably not want to live in Ljubljana. It's from Vedic perspective, Ljubljana is not a very nice place. That's so much pollution, traffic. You know, from Vedic culture means simple living, high thinking. It means that we live in somewhere. We have a farm and we peacefully live. But we're here because we want. This is where the people are. So. And of course, this is where Panchatattva came. But this is where the people are. So if this is where the people are, we are here to spread Krishna consciousness. And of course, we have. It's very important that we have a temple that the people can come and see how these books are. How we can apply the books in practice. You know, like not only. So not only in theory. So and of course, preaching means that we teach others what is in the books. So yes, it's good. It's very good that we preach, but we should preach what Srila Prabhupada wants us to preach. I gave this example with. And if we don't know how to preach too well, then it's always a good idea to give people a book. You know, because Srila Prabhupada would sometimes say, what will your 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes preaching do? But if he takes a book, then his life may be saved. No, even if he reads one page, because there's different potency. This is Srila Prabhupada's potency. So if they associate with Srila Prabhupada, then they have a good chance. And of course, we should preach from Srila Prabhupada's books. And it's also really important that people see that we take these books seriously. You know, there's if you go to a shop and you ask, you go to a BMW shop and you ask people, the guy there about the BMW, and he doesn't know anything. You know, like what type of engine does this BMW have? I don't know. It has some engine. Then you will be like, what are you doing here? You know, like, how do you want me to convince me to? Because you're supposed to know more about BMW than I should know. So it's really annoying that for people to that if you go and you want to sell him something and you don't know anything about the product. They will ask you, what's in these books? And you're like, I don't know. Then it's not really convincing. And then the next stage, next part of this is purity is the force. Purity means that we have to really apply the books. Not only know what's in the books really well, but also apply in our life. And because people know. That's the good news and the bad news. They know who you are. There's one example in Romania. I was going in Sankirtan, and I met one young man. And he said, "Oh, I already have a book. I got it from one other devotee, and this other devotee was a bit interesting. You know, like he had an interesting past, and eventually he went back to the old ways. And this guy which I met, he told me that this devotee told me that purity is really important in spiritual life. And I was looking at him, and I was like, I don't know, man. I just want to know what you're smoking or something like this." So this guy was karmi, you know, what we call karmi, you know, like he was eating meat, drinking alcohol, but he was looking at this devotee, and he knew. He knew what that you're not for real. So this is the good news and the bad news, that people really know where we are. People will look at us, and they will know if we take this culture seriously or not. And if we don't take it seriously, why would they? You know, like you want to go and say these books will save your life, and you're like, maybe you should take the books. Also, you look like you need them. You need some saving. So. Yeah, it's purity is the force behind our preaching. If we don't have this purity, then nothing will happen, you know. And if things are not progressing, we should always look not to changing the methods. Oh, Harinam Sankirtan is not working. Oh, really? Oh, okay. But maybe we should look what is inside, you know, like. Maybe if we improve our purity, our spiritual practice, maybe it will work even better, you know. So, and oh, come on. Okay, problems with technology. In Krishna's pastimes, there's never technology. That's anyway, but we can use it. And the last part is that utility is the principle. Like we should think what we're doing. We should not just do things because we do things. There's one example. Lalit Govinda Prabhu told me that they were initially some time ago the Padayatra was looking a bit different. They had bullock cart. They were sleeping from village to village, and then they would pack the kitchen. Every morning they would pack the kitchen. They would go somewhere. They would unpack the kitchen, and they would cook, and they would go through villages and sing through villages. And sometimes there was no one there, and sometimes between villages there was no one there. So it was like a huge amount of effort, you know, like if you just have to pack every day to pack and unpack the things in the kitchen, you would be like, oh my God, it's too much. And then you go the whole day and you transport everything, and then sing Hare Krishna in some forest. You're serving. Okay, and so like that, and then His Holiness Prahaladananda Maharaj came, and then he came with the idea: why do we do it like this? Like, I mean, how many books do we distribute like this? How many people hear the holy name? So then he said, maybe we just do it a bit differently. Maybe we just go from the temple, we go sing, chant Hare Krishna, people will hear Hare Krishna, we will distribute prasadam, we will distribute some books, and we come back to the temple. So we use our energy, because the only problem is we can do it like that in other ways, but our energy is limited. So we just use the energy in a proper way. Like we don't do things just to do things. So that's just one example. We should think how we're doing things and do it in a way that we use our energy properly, nicely. Okay, so yeah, I'll stop here because I spoke too much. If there are some questions, comments.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the lecture. I was wondering, you said that we don't have to change the methods, but we can change the method itself, make it more useful in the way, like you gave this example just now. And to what extent can we do that, and in what way can we do that so it still pleases Krishna?
Yeah, I don't mean so much about changing the method externally. Like you can go in Harinam and sing Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, and you're not really chanting Hare Krishna. I mean, you're chanting some Hare Krishna, but you're not focusing. You're not putting your heart in it. You're not, you can do it in so many ways. Like you can go in Harinam and space out, and you're like singing some Hare Krishna, or you can really do it in a prayerful mode. Like you go and you sing Hare Krishna, and you're like, oh Krishna, please help. Like depending on Krishna, and then it's a lot really different. You can see, okay, then Krishna will also come if you. And you will see it's really different. Or you can go in Sankirtan and be like, oh, please take a book. Oh, you don't want what to do. I'm detached. I'm detached. I'm doing karma yoga. I'm just doing my duty. Or you can do it in a prayerful mood. You can pray to Krishna, like I know you're doing. Pray to Krishna. Oh Krishna, please send someone to take these books. Please, Srila Prabhupada, make me an instrument for you. It's externally it's same activity, but internally it's so much different. And it's not only what you do outside when you're doing this activity. It's also how you do sadhana. How do you wake up in the morning, you do your sadhana. How you read Srila Prabhupada's books before. So it's not that we should change the method, like we don't do Harinam anymore because it's not. We don't do Sankirtan anymore because people are not interested. Yeah. No, if we're doing our sadhana properly, if we're reading Srila Prabhupada's books, and if we're having a prayerful attitude, then Krishna will send some people who will be interested. So it's not that was the point, behind.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.